Let's see if this is working. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Normally, it takes me a lot longer to get loaded in. That time around, I just clicked on it and it went. So good for y'all, good for me, and good for everybody. Glad that y'all are tuned in to another Ring of Honor TV review, episode number 128 to be exact. It was a very quick episode of ROH, but got a couple of other. We got side notes to discuss. One, I will not go into detail with because it is a developing saga per se, but it is an important one that we'll definitely dwell into as time moves on. But the first thing to discuss prior to getting into this ROH TV episode, we do have a match announced for Death Before Dishonor, August 29th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And that is the Ring of Honor World Title match. Will be Bandido versus Hechicero. Bandido successfully retained his Ring of Honor World Championship at Supercard of Honor against Konosuke Takeshita, and Hechicero was outside the ring waiting for him, and we kind of expected a match to happen. It definitely would have been weird to do this match in between Supercard of Honor and Death Before Dishonor just because of the short turnaround. And the anticipation for this match is a lot of people were looking forward to it. A lot of people were looking forward to it when they had that initial face-to-face. And so we at least have a match announcement for Death Before Dishonor early on. Or as, you know, we'll have to wait. Because a lot of times with these Ring of Honor pay-per-views as of late, we have to wait. This time around we don't. So there is that. Speaking of Bandido, he is in the opening contest of this week's ROH, and I will be the asshole and complain about it. It is a proven ground bout, Bandido versus Gringo Loco, and the only reason I'm complaining is they legitimately have done this same match, Bandido versus Gringo Loco, in the proven ground, and they did not even mention it at all on commentary. Normally they'd say, oh, these two have faced off several times before, etc. It's literally the main event. The main reason I would imagine they did this match is because they were in Gringo Loco's hometown of Chicago, Illinois. But unless it is a continuing saga, trilogy, feud, I don't really like repeating matches, especially with Bandito in the Proving Ground. I would rather see him go against other challengers and competitors. And especially because that was a main event match and they glossed over it, I definitely did feel a little bit salty. But I watched it nonetheless, obviously. And it wasn't a bad match. It's just like I'd rather see something different is kind of the point that I'm making here. It's fast paced to start off early, including a Loco dive to the outside. We got a Hurricane Rana in the ring that gets a 2 count by Bandito. Loco's split legged moonsault gets a 2 count. We get a reverse C4 off of the top rope by Loco, and this gets a 2 count, and it was very impressive. Then he misses on a second split-legged moonsault attempt with Bandito following it up with a frog splash to pick up the victory. So a repeat of the match nonetheless. 2 quick matchups happen up next. Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh take on GPA and Hunter Holdcraft. Such a impressive name. Holdcraft and Lethal start to match off, but GPA sneak attacks once Lethal's back is turned. These two men could not be saved once Satnam Singh tags in, including a series of Satnam Singh choke slams and a lethal injection to end the matchup. Then our Ring of Honor Women's Champion Athena competes tonight, which feels like a rarity and is somewhat understandable because she's got her eyes on the AEW Women's Championship and she will be facing Toni Storm at Forbidden Door. So I can somewhat understand that being the case. But she teams up with Billie Starkz this week to take on Missa Kate and Laney Luck. We get an attack after the Code of Honor with Starkz and Kate being the first two Luke competitors. Afterwards, Athena hits a power bomb on Luck. It follows it up with a Starkz Swan Dive as this team wins after a pair of tandem submissions. Now, this is the most important thing Ring of Honor related, I would say, this week and of a long time. IMO. And this is the developing story that I felt that this long story short, Dustin Rhodes last week on Collision lost his TNT championship to Kyle Fletcher in a street fight. I believe they labeled it a Chicago street fight, but Kyle Fletcher is now the TNT champion and defeated Dustin Rhodes in doing so. Good on Dustin Rhodes to get a TNT title run. A lot of us didn't expect it to be that long of a run, and he had an impressive matchup. This will definitely stand the test of time. When you think of this title reign, you will think of this matchup. Now, the important thing, the developing thing, is he was injured in this match and had to have surgery. And again, like I said, it is important for Ring of Honor because not only is he one half of the Ring of Honor six-man tag team champions, he is 1/3 of the six-man tag team champions. I might have said that twice. He's one half of the tag team champions with Sammy Guevara. He's 1/3 of the trios champions with the Von Erichs. He literally had 2 damn titles in Ring of Honor, and this has been the thing for almost a year. I think over a year now. I don't remember the exact date. I feel like they won them in July. So, I'm wishing the best to Dustin Rhodes. Again, very impressive that this late in his career, he was holding 3 titles at once. That is crazy as hell. But now we're in most likely a scenario where he doesn't even lose 2 of them. So the reason I am saying this is a developing story is tonight they only mentioned him getting injured and losing the match on Collision. They did not mention the future of these titles or what they're going to be doing with these titles. I will say that the Death Before Dishonor poster originally had Dustin, Sammy, and the Von Erichs on it, and no longer do. They have Shane Taylor Promotions, Lee Johnson, and Blake Christian on there. I did notice that. So it is a developing story, I would say, that hopefully is answered in the near future. As much as Dustin Rhodes being injured sucks, I still thought it was insane that he was tag team champions over a year with Sammy Guevara. And I'm very, 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 very ready to see new tag team champions in ROH. So this week I'll let it, we'll wish the best to Dustin and worry about that, especially because we don't know necessarily the future of this. I would imagine at Death Before Dishonor we have a big tag team and potentially 6-man tag team title match to crown new champions, but I felt like they've had enough time to decipher what they needed to do, so time will tell. I think if I had to give all right, I lied to y'all. I said I wasn't gonna do this. I was gonna wait till next week. I am going to advocate LFI. I would like to see as the 6-man tag team champions Roosh, Beast Mortos, and Dralistico. If not them, Shane Taylor and the Infantry. If not them, Dalton Castle and the Outrunners. I think that's a wild card pick. I think the Outrunners deserve some set of titles in either ROH or AEW, and I could see it happening by the end of this year. And I think back quite often to Dalton Castle returning at the end of that Dynamite episode and then it never being followed up on. Because it was, like I said, I told you all at the time, that was the craziest ended to an ROH episode I've seen. The guy literally returned out of a UFO, never to be followed up on. Now, the Tag Team Championships is a weirder case. I guess I'll save that. I'll save that one for next week. I want to think it over. I don't want to go impromptu with it. So, best of luck to Dustin Rhodes. Thank you for your time as the TNT champion, and we will see what the future holds for the tag team and 6-man tag team championships in Ring of Honor. As we do have a 6-man tag team matchup taking place right now. Volador Jr., Magnus, and Rohio versus the Dark Order as Rohio and Alex Reynolds start this match off. But business picks up once Uno tags in and is stomped out by all of his opponents, and they all rip at his mask. And Ian Riccaboni mentioned on commentary that they do not think he is a real luchador. That is why they were doing that. John Silver has to save the day, and the Dark Order look for their flip slam. But Silver is pulled to the outside where Volador Jr. rolls up Uno to pick up the victory for his side. As we do have our main event. No, we don't. I lied. I had to flip the page, and I knew I was forgetting something. I thought it was just for the main event. We have an update from QT Marshall. I mentioned last week that Paul Walter Hauser called him out because of ongoing issues that they've had for months. And QT Marshall, much like myself, was like, He needs to leave it in the past. QT Marshall tells Paul Walter Hauser that he needs to get over himself and to move on from the past. But, Paul Walter Hauser, he thinks that he is a big deal because he is the 5th most important actor in the new Naked Gun movie. That's a quote. And that he is an actor. He needs to worry about acting. And if he really wants to be a wrestler, show up next week on ROH. So we'll see where that goes to. As now we have that main event matchup I was trying to rush into. And I will admit, it is a very good main event matchup. Mistico and Mascara Dorada. Always a treat seeing Mistico and Mascara Dorada. Mainly Mistico, but both of them. Always a treat to see them on Ring of Honor. And they take on Blake, Christian, and Lee Johnson, who have been on a roll. They even mentioned having their eyes on the tag team titles. And I thought that would mean that they would win their matchup tonight. And I was concerned because Mistico does not lose on ROH TV. So Dorado and Christian start this matchup off with Dorado landing a series of kicks, ending with a Pele kick. Mistico and Johnson tag in then with a series of springboards and arm drags by Mistico. We get a double back elbow drops by Mistico and Dorado, followed by dives to the outside. But Mistico is then thrown into the guardrail while out there, and Dorado is left double-teamed on his own inside the ring. We'll get a pop-up powerbomb and Christian dive to the outside that does not end things. Dorado attempts a top rope hurricanrana, but Christian lands on his feet after this, with all the men following this up with a super kick attempt that knocks them all down. Mistico applies La Mystica on Johnson while Christian is thrown to the outside for a very quick tap out, and Mistico and Mascara Dorada pick up the victory to end this episode of Ring of Honor on Honor Club. So we're on the road to Forbidden Door, more importantly for us, to Death Before Dishonor. We need to figure out what we're doing with the title scene in Ring of Honor, which hopefully we'll get an update that I would say by next week's episode, because they could definitely talk about this on Collision, because that's when the Dustin Rhodes injury happened. And again, that they've legitimately had over, we're getting weird with these Collision dates, because last week's was on Thursday, this week's on Saturday, but he did have surgery until last Saturday, so I'm kind of tricking y'all a little bit, so I'm going to slow down and stop that now. So we'll see what the hell happens. So I do appreciate y'all watching this. Like, comment, subscribe. Who would you like to see win the 6-man and tag team championships? Comment it down below, and I will respond. I always respond to my comments. So I'll see y'all when I see y'all. I'm out for now. Goodbye.